Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to today's final front load and another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers. If you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article. Share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever does actually see through with their threat. Trigger warning 1 will we discuss places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys. You're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Trigger warning 2, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is very much advised, all right? Okay, where we left off, right? Response: FDA disagrees, as any rational person would. The FDA referred to this article in the proposed rule for several reasons, including to support some of the risks posed by ESDs, to support the occurrence of adaptation, wherein a patient grows accustomed to a particular level of shock and no longer responds, and to the support the ability of ESDs to immediately interrupt behavior occurring at the time of shock. The cited article studied short term treatment and reported some immediate benefits from the use of ESD, SIB, or AB. In other words, in the world of the glaringly obvious, what it does not address is the long term effects of the treatment because it can't. The kids who are a part of this study, well, they're in their 60s now, right? We don't have the data on the long term effects. That has been stated numerous times, and the JRC is still not listening. The particular study is in regards to short term. It stops the behavior. Yes. Again, so does a punch to a face, but there's no doctor writing out prescriptions for people to start slugging each other as a form of treatment. All right? As stated in the proposed rule. However, regarding long term follow up, it states although the immediate side effects of punishment point in a desirable direction, one should be less optimistic about long term behavioral change under certain conditions. Folks, we learned in the 90s that spanking actually tended to make things worse, not better. That the threat of getting spanked, even by means of a belt, was not a good enough deterrent to keep us from doing those stupid life threatening actions that got our parents completely paranoid. Okay? It did nothing to deter it. We may have stopped the dangerous action for that moment. Maybe we wouldn't even win a week or two, a month, 2 months, a year. And out of nowhere, guess what? Right? That threat of physical violence is not enough in order to produce long term results. Fear never does. Fear is one of the most piss poor motivational tools on planet Earth. Sure, you'll get immediate reaction, but there is no longevity in it. Okay? Fear to control only lasts for long. One of two things happen: a person shuts down or they get angry. That's just a fact. Although the immediate side effects of punishment point is in a desirable direction, it should be less optimistic about long-term change under such conditions is easily explained as I just did, because fear doesn't work forever. Okay? Eventually, the behavior is going to crop up again and again and again, and the decision to stop has to be on the individual's side. Ever deal with an alcoholic? Hi, I'm a recovering alcoholic. We only stop when we absolutely put our foot down and decide to stop. Sometimes we need help. I had to have help. I gave away my debit card and had no access to my own bank account for a solid month when I first came off the booze because I couldn't trust myself to not take my card after work and go down to the gas station and get more liquor. All right? That's when change happens. When we put our foots down and then we make the accommodations necessary to facilitate that healing, right? That's how addiction works. Treatment's not so different. The stopping of behavior is not so different, especially when you're dealing with an atypical brain. I won't stop because you say so and you're worried about me, but if you're going to sit there and tell me what that alcohol is doing to the inside of me, if you explain to me the fact that I have a very rare mutation that causes alcohol to be equivalent of getting a hold of some really bad LSD, changes things a little bit, doesn't it? That's when the behavior changes. We address the problem by first helping the person to realize that it's a problem and what the fallout looks like if you continue down the path that you are, right? Spanking's not going to do that. Shocking a person till they scream and beg for mercy and then beg for death is not going to do that. Okay? This is why I push person centered planning so much because you're in the control center. You're the head person. You are the CEO of John Doe Incorporated. Okay? Violence is not going to ever produce long term changes in a person's life. All right? It's not going to stop the more dangerous behavior. It will create PTSD down the line, though. That's always fun, isn't it? Let's continue, shall we? We can supply few data which exceed a couple of months of follow up. In the case of only 2 children, we have the opportunity to conduct follow ups for as much as 1 year, while the suppression of self destruction was being maintained. Jesus Christ, a year is not long enough. Let me tell you about my life. I do that a lot on this channel. I have managed to mask nonstop 24/7 in a time frame of 3 years before without breaking character. Okay? So even following so much as a year means nothing. We can hold masks, some of us, particularly those of us who have been through abuse, for astronomical amounts of time when necessary. You need to be following us 2 years, 3 years, a decade, 20, 30 years to get a better understanding of what the side effects are to this form of treatment. Okay? And while doing so, you need to have consciously in the back of your mind that we know how to mask. And that what you're seeing on the outside may not be an accurate picture of the person that is before you. You need to know that to understand it, comprehend it, and internalize it so that you can start slowly to determine the difference between the mask and what is real success. Something my mom learned how to do, completely untaught. I don't even know why or how it works, but it does. I think part of it is because she's always been so logical with me. And you have to be with me. It's gotta be logical. It is very rare for me to react on pure emotions, and then it's usually during like a moment like this, autistic burnout or meltdown. But let's continue, shall we? This is consistent with the FDA's determination that the data suggesting durable effects of ESDs are generally weak. And the reference statement is also consistent with the commenter's criticism elsewhere, and it comments of this reference's extremely small sample size of 3 subjects. And again, the fact that the paper is horribly outdated. Also, them trying to say, but if they stop doing all these behaviors that are so destructive, but they don't think about how it was accomplished. How was it done? Is it actually authentic or is it a mask? Because if it is a well crafted mask, eventually, somewhere down the line, it could be 20 to 30 years from now, but guess what? That problem that's causing the behavior didn't disappear. It's still there. And it will come to a head. Believe me, please, when I tell you this. Okay? If, in particular, those who work in mental health, if the picture that we present is too good to be true, that's because it is. You're seeing exactly what we want you to. Which leaves the underlying issues causing the behavior undealt with. So when the mask crumbles, the person usually crumbles with it. And all those not so fun parts of our diagnosis start creeping out with a vengeance. Okay? Even some of those issues that we have worked on and found ways to minimize are going to rear their ugly heads. That's just life. Something else to keep in the back of your head at all times is that the medicine should not be centered around what the parent wants. It should be centered around the child and what they want and what their potential is. And go from there. We'll go ahead and close on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So if you could, please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. It is pool day. I have waited all year. I'll see you all next time.